My apologies. I realized I forgot to start recording. I've started it just for the benefit of people who will be watching the recording. I'll just recap the last 30 seconds. So, legality's current stamping process combines a single denomination in a particular stamping instance. So, you can only pay a single flat rate denomination in our current stamping process. And this helps where fixed stamp duty is payable, like small to mid-sized ticket loans, standard agreements, and in many states for all kinds of agreements. It's a very state-specific thing. Where the old process or the current system doesn't work is where stamp duty is a percentage of the value of a document. For example, large ticket secured loans. I know there are some people with a background on this issue, but there are some people without it. So just for the benefit of the second group, I'll just explain this use case a bit, right? So in some cases, some use cases, whether my agreement value with you is 600 rupees or 40,000 rupees, the stamp duty will be fixed, say a flat rate of say 500 rupees. So whether it's a 600 rupee value transaction, whether it's a 20,000 rupee value transaction, whether it's a 40,000 rupee value transaction, you just have a single stamp duty across cases. So our old system worked well for that. But where stamp duty is a percentage, there'll be a value fixed. Say stamp duty is 2% of the value of the agreement. Here, the actual value of the agreement will ensure that the stamp duty changes on a case by case basis. So that's why we built dynamic stamping. But before we move on to dynamic stamping, it would be remiss of me not to deal with the existing solutions that also claim to solve this problem in the market. Right, there are two primary alternate ways that before that, yeah. So our old process actually then works for 70% of use cases, which had flat stamp rate, and in majority of e-contracting journeys for Indian enterprise, our old stamping system worked. But it's that orange part there really that we built dynamic stamping for. But before that, let me cover the existing market solutions and why they don't work. Right, so there are two real solutions. One is a self-generated receipt system, where a system provider, and I think this is provided by only one entity in the market right now, where the system provider generates their own private receipts. They're not a government entity. They're not a SHCIL affiliated entity. They're simply a private system provider like Legality. They generate their own receipts and affix these receipts instead of an actual stamp paper on agreements for purportedly digital journeys. The second is a government-backed direct API, where there's a full integration with SHCIL API and a fully digital process. This, however, is currently limited to certain states and is only provided by a single government vendor. Now, in theory, both these solutions sound great, but there are some problems. Why the current market solutions don't work is that one, there is no scalability and reliability, right? So while in a single use transaction, in maybe 5 to 10 transactions, they work, operating them at scale means they do tend to break down. There's a bad user experience and really a frictionful process, even though it's a digital process, not something ideal in any digital form. Second, for pan-India coverage, while private self-generated receipts do work across India, the digital stamping notifications that integrate with SHCIL API don't operate across India. They're limited to a few states. And a third, while digital stamping notifications authorized by the government are legal, private self-generated receipts are not legal, right? Because the Stamp Act prescribes several requirements to ensure stamping, and they do require a defaced stamp paper to actually visually be depicted on the agreement. And the reason being they want to avoid deduplication, or they want to avoid repeat use of stamp papers across use cases. Since a private self-generated receipt system cannot guarantee that by its very system, it does not comply with the Stamp Act. And this is really where Legality developed dynamic stamping. And here I'll hand it over to Siddhant from the product team. He played a critical role in leading this development in actual consultation with actual clients who had required such a use case. So Sid, I'll stop sharing now and I'll let you take over with the product demo, what most people are here for.
Sure. Thanks so much, Aditya, for that background. I see some familiar names amongst the attendees. So, hey guys, and thanks to the others as well for joining in. Hopefully, you'll derive some value of this session. As Aditya was mentioning in the first part of this webinar, we have launched a new product which we call dynamic stamping. The idea is to provide for dynamic flexibility to our clients to combine different stamp papers that are there in their inventory. Right. So that was the idea behind this product. We'll be covering this whole feature right from creation of a stamp group, which is the prerequisite to use this feature, and we'll talk about what a stamp group is in greater detail. So we'll cover that first, and then we'll move on to creating an e-sign invitation using dynamic stamping. We'll also thereafter see how the audit trail captures these various stamp papers that are used in a dynamic stamp paper process, which is a critical part of establishing the legality of this signing journey. And we'll also thereafter see how to edit a stamp group. So we'll cover the entire gamut of features that are required for you to fully use our dynamic stamping capability. So we'll get into the demo. But just before we dive into the demo, I'd just like to take a step back and talk about how exactly this dynamic stamping feature is different from what we had previously. Right. So allow me to just share my screen. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please do feel free to type down your questions in the Q&A section, and we will take up questions after the demo. Aditya, my screen is visible, right?
It's visible.
Okay, great. Right. So before our dynamic stamping feature was rolled out, we had a concept called stamp series, which will continue, by the way. But previously, before dynamic stamping, we required clients to maintain an inventory of stamp papers in different stamp series, right? So what you see in front of you in the screen is the entire inventory that's available for a particular dashboard. So you can see that stamp paper inventory is categorized according to the state of in which the stamp papers were procured, according to the denomination. So we have stamp papers having the denomination of 50, 500, 100, so on and so forth. And the status of all the stamp papers are also mentioned here, right? Now, as you can see, we have in our inventory here, we have stamp papers of the denomination 50, and we also have the stamp papers of the denomination 500, right? Now, previously, if you had to create a document with a stamp duty of 550, there was no way for you to combine the stamp papers in these different series into one document, right? So you wouldn't have the ability to dynamically merge stamp papers and collect stamp papers from different series and use them for your different document journeys. So therefore, what you had to do is for each unique document journey, you had to figure out with what kind of stamp duty you want to pay. You had to maintain inventory accordingly, and that's how you would have to proceed. Right now, whilst that worked in certain kinds of workflows where you knew exactly the stamp duty that you want to pay, it was not ideally tailored for situations where stamp duty varies from case to case. Stamp duty varies from one document to the other depending on the consideration involved in the documentation and so on and so forth, right? Because you didn't have the dynamic flexibility to pick and choose stamp papers. Now, to solve for that, we've introduced this concept called stamp groups, right? Which brings us to the first part of our demo. In order to use the dynamic stamping feature, the first step is to create a stamp group, right? What is a stamp group? A stamp group is nothing but a bucket where you put in all the various stamp papers that you would like to combine. The key thing to remember is that each stamp group is specific to a particular state. So you cannot mix stamp papers from different states into one stamp group. So that's one key thing to bear in mind. But other than that, you can mix and match various kinds of stamp papers that you have in your inventory within a particular state, right? So in order to create a new stamp group, you'll have to click on this new stamp group button here. You give it a name. So here we are going to give it the name of Maharashtra Test Group, right? So this is the name of the group. You have to select the state to which that group would pertain. As I mentioned, you cannot mix stamp papers from across states. And you're also required to put in the maximum value of stamp papers that may be combined in this group, right? So the system imposes a limitation of 1 lakh. So here we'll specify 10,000. In most cases, in our experience, stamp duty is actually lesser than this amount. But whatever your maximum limitation is, you can specify that here. And thereafter, most importantly, you have to select which stamp series you want to include in this group, right? So I want, for instance, my 100 rupee denomination papers of the state of Maharashtra to be included in this bucket, in this group. So I'm going to select that. I also want to include the stamp papers having denomination 500 and 50 in my stamp group, right? So I've selected these and I click on create, right? So it's as simple as that. Now you've created a group or a bucket where you have stamp papers having the denomination of 100, 500, 50 in the state of Maharashtra. Similarly, depending on your inventory, depending on what's there in your dashboard, you can create as many groups as you want with as many different permutations and combinations as you want. The same stamp series or the same stamp papers can form a part of multiple groups, right? So you can have the 500 denomination paper in, say, 5 different stamp groups, right? So that flexibility is also inbuilt. So now that you've created a stamp group, the next step is to use the dynamic stamping feature in a particular journey, right? So let's start with that. Select a template. You toggle on the use stamp feature. You select the option of use stamp group, right? Now here you have to pick out which stamp group you want to use for this document. So all the groups that you've created would appear in a drop down here so that you can select the relevant one. I am going to select the one which we just created, which is Maharashtra Test, right? So it tells you which stamp series form part of that group. So it sort of indicates to you, it helps you here in making the selection. So you have to select your group and you also key in the total amount, right? So here, let's say that I want to create a document with stamp duty of 650, right? Now, what will end up happening is that the algorithm which runs behind this system will pick out 3 stamp papers from our bucket. It'll pick out a stamp paper of 500 rupees. It'll pick out a stamp paper of 100 rupees and it'll pick out a stamp paper of 50 rupees, combine it to make the stamp duty of 650 as desired by you. So here you can input yeah
question. Sorry, I think you were coming to it. My apologies. So I don't need to put 650 just because that's the combination of all 3 stamps, right? I can put a number lower than that as well.
Correct, absolutely. You can put any number that you want, which is below the minimum, below the maximum threshold that you'd set while creating the group. Of course, if you provide a number which is for which the exact combination is not available given your selection of stamp papers in your group, then you may have to exceed the amount that you've specified, right? So for instance, the lowest denomination of stamp duty of stamp papers that are there in our group is 50, right? So if I specify 630, then the papers that will be selected will still be the same. It'll pick out a 500 rupee paper, it'll pick out a 100 rupee paper, and it'll pick out a 50 rupees paper. So the balance 20 is still, an excess amount that will get used up because the lowest denomination in your group is 50.
No, so I think that we discussed this. In fact, I think so. 49 basically the maximum edge case is for rupees 49 extra being paid through the system. But actually, we realized that the cost benefits of actually enabling digital flow for that actually saves you more than 50 rupees. on that same transaction. So even though you may be paying extra stamp duty, the benefits of digitization actually more than compensate and make up for that cost.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think the recommendation there is that there is no limitation on how many stamp papers you can use as a part of a group. So you can have stamp papers having the denomination of 10 rupees, 20 rupees, whatever is available in the market, right? We can add stamp series of those denominations as well. So if you anticipate that your usage would actually be in tens as well, right? So it could be 630, 670, 680. Then you could even have a stamp series of rupees 10, which is a part of this group, in which case you'll be able to come up to that number, right? So depending on the granularity of your use case, you can have appropriate stamp series created, and you can have them built in as a part of your inventory, and then you'll be able to go that granular depending on your requirement, right? So those flexibilities are inbuilt into the product. Okay.
Right.
So the key thing here is that you input the amount of stamp duty that you want, and once you've done that, you can move to the next step. Right, the other steps are pretty straightforward. It's just the same in any journey. So I'm just going to quickly run over those parts. Create an invitation. Right now, this is the important bit. So as you can see, this is showing you a preview of the document. Right, so it's showing a 50 rupee stamp paper. And below this paper, there is a message saying load more stamp papers. Now, this message here is suggesting to you that there are more stamp papers which have been combined to meet your stamp duty requirements, right? So if I click here, another stamp paper opens up. And if I click again, there you go, I have another stamp paper, right? So what I have here in effect is I have a stamp paper of denomination 50, I have a stamp paper of denomination 500, I have a stamp paper of denomination 100. So all these three together make up 650, right? So depending on the amount that you've entered while creating the invitation, the relevant number of stamp papers will be picked out from the system, and they will be used to create this journey, right? A key thing to bear in mind here is that the algorithm is designed to minimize the number of stamp papers that are used, right? So if you put in the denomination, if your stamp duty requirement is 500, the algorithm will pick out the 500 rupee stamp paper in your inventory and use that, since only one stamp paper will be required in that case, instead of using 5 stamp papers of 100 rupees each, right? And this principle is applied across the board, right? The idea is to minimize the number of stamp papers that are used, because that helps you optimize the cost of procuring stamp papers, right? Because when you're procuring stamp papers through legality, there is a convenience fee that is charged for each stamp paper, but the algorithm is designed in a way to make it the most efficient for you from a cost optimization perspective. So you can click on load more stamp papers to see all the stamp papers that are there. You can place your signature coordinates on the stamp papers. If you place signature coordinates on any stamp paper, they get replicated on all of them. You don't have to repeat the process for each stamp paper. Now, a few important things to bear in mind. You'll see here that the agreement itself has 3 different stamp serial numbers which are imprinted on top here, right? These are the stamp serial numbers of the 3 stamp papers that have been used to make up the stamp duty amount for this document, right? So the government affixed number is printed as a header on each page of this document, right? So as you can see on the top here, there are 3 stamp serial numbers. This is a very important point from a legal compliance perspective, because stamp laws typically require you to ensure that a stamp paper forms an integral part of the document, and to ensure that there is no duplication. And it also requires you to print the document on the stamp paper. So that's exactly what we've done here. The stamp paper is a part of the document. We have a legend here. The legend appears on all stamp papers that are used. right? And the third thing is that there is also a unique document ID, right? So all stamp papers have a unique document ID. This is different from the stamp serial number. So this document ID also appears on each page of the agreement, right? So there's a three-way tie-up between the stamp papers and the agreement to ensure that you're complying with the relevant stamp laws. Now you can press on send to complete this journey, right? So here we reach the details page. For those of you who are familiar with the legality application, this is the page where you can see the status of your document, whether it's signed or not. There are a lot of capabilities here. You can resend notifications. You can copy the URL and send it separately to the signatory. I'm not going to cover all of those things, right? The key thing here is that the document ID has a button called view more. If you click on that, all the document IDs turn up. So these are the various document IDs associated with the stamp papers that have been combined to make up the stamp duty for this agreement, right? Now let's look at it from the signatory's perspective, right? So when the signatory receives the signing link, when they click on the signing link, they'll be seeing a preview of the document. Again, it'll look exactly how it looked in the document preview page. The first stamp paper will be visible by default. Signature boxes will be there, and they can similarly click on load more stamp papers to see all the stamp papers that are a part of the document, right? So if you're combining, let's say 50 stamp papers, by default only one of the stamp papers will be visible, so that it's easy for the signatory to scroll down to the actual agreement instead of having to scroll down over 50 pages, right? And then you can click on proceed and complete the signing journey. This is our standard signing journey, which a lot of you may be familiar with. So I'm not going to go over this. If you are interested in knowing how the signing journey works, we have a lot of resources, videos, etc. Please do get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to give you an in-person demo to show you how the signing works. Right now, the next thing, Aditya, were you saying something?
Yeah, thanks, Sid. So, do you want?
Okay. Was my screen visible when I was going through the signing journey?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Right. So as I mentioned, if you want to know how the signing works, you can contact us. We'd be happy to give you a demo. And there are tons of resources out there which highlight how that process works. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was the audit trail, right? So the audit trail is a very critical document which is digitally signed by Legality. This is a very important legal document because it sets out all the steps that have taken place as a part of the signing journey, right? It also importantly covers the stamping details. So what is the stamp duty that has been paid? What is the stamp serial number of the stamp papers used? Things like that, right? So when you use dynamic stamping, all the stamp serial numbers of all the stamp papers used will appear in the audit trail. So as you can see here, there are 3 stamp serial numbers mentioned. Similarly, there are 3 document IDs mentioned as well. The audit trail has you covered in terms of all the various stamp papers that get used as a part of the dynamic stamping journey. The audit trail is downloadable from the dashboard. Again, if you need any help in accessing the audit trail, please do get in touch. We'll be happy to cover that separately. Okay. Now, the last thing that I wanted to cover as a part of the demo was how to edit a stamp group. So you can go to stamps and thereafter groups, which will bring you to the list of stamp groups that you've maintained. In order to edit a stamp group, let's say you figured out that you need an additional stamp series in there. Let's say you need a stamp series of 10 rupees and a stamp series of 25 rupees in there, right? To further optimize the process. So what you can do is go to actions, go to edit. And here in the drop down, you'll see everything that's available. You can click on anything, deselect any of the stamp papers, click on update, and your stamp group gets automatically updated. For any journey thereafter, the new stamp denominations would be available for that journey, right? So that brings us to the end of the demo. Let me just see if there are any questions so far we can take up. Okay. First question you've covered. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, if in case people didn't see the first question, we were asked what state stamp papers can we get through legality and what can you use through dynamic stamping. So we actually cater to all states. We have pan-India coverage except for stamp paper from Andaman and Lakshadweep.
Okay. Thanks for that, Aditya. There are a couple of other questions as well. Do you have a feature which calculates the stamp duty once we insert the loan amount and the state? Ronak, this is a question from Ronak. The answer to that is no. This is something for which you would need to, rely on your legal counsels. So there are several nuances in stamp duty law. Those of us from a legal background are well aware of that. So it's not possible to calculate it using an algorithm. You'll need to consult your lawyers, and they'll let you know what the relevant stamp duty amount is. Typically, one needs to consider several concessions, rebates, notifications from time to time that are issued. So this is something where legal advice is critical, and we advise all our clients to ensure that whilst calculating the stamp duty, you do take into account your legal advice that your counsels are giving you. Right. The next question again from Ronak is: will digital signature or e-sign work on a demand promissory note? So this is a good question, Ronak. I think you know that a demand promissory note is a negotiable instrument, which is specifically mentioned in the schedule to the IT Act, and therefore this is not covered within the Information Technology Act, and therefore the IT Act does not contemplate the usage of electronic signs for such negotiable instruments. Typically, what we've seen in the market for all clients using us is that the demand promissory note is typically discarded, and banks and NBFCs typically just go with an agreement. Ultimately, if there is a legally binding agreement which records the promise to pay, there is no need for a demand promissory note in this day and age. That's typically the market practice, but again, this is something that you should ideally consult your lawyers on. Okay, so those are all the questions that we have so far. Aditya, if you could share your presentation again, and we can
Thanks,
move to the
Siddhant.
next slide.
Yeah, are you able to see my screen, Siddhant?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, Siddhant. So actually, the burning question is, I mean, everyone's seen how it works. Is how does this dynamic stamping system actually meet the scalability and reliability requirement? Pan India coverage, I think we just covered. We cover all states
Yeah,
except Andaman and Lakshadweep. And third,
yeah,
is it legal? If so, how is it legal? And how does it differ from the other two systems?
right. Yeah, I think those are very important points. So the first thing is reliability and scalability. Right now, the critical thing here with dynamic stamping is that this works on an inventory model where you've procured stamp papers in advance using our really deep network of stamp vendors. Right. So there is no question of a third party involved in this process. There is no third party server, third party API that's involved. You don't have to worry on the day of your execution that the systems will be down, you'll not be able to procure the relevant stamp paper, there may be some issue with payment. Nothing like that. You've already done all the necessary steps in advance. You have the stamp papers in your inventory, and therefore it's completely reliable. Right, there is no third party contingency here, which makes it a far more reliable service than any other solution out there in the market, which typically requires an integration with a third party service provider, typically a government service provider, which, whilst it has its advantages, often suffers from issues of reliability and uptime, things like that. So that's where this dynamic stamping feature is far more reliable. In terms of scalability as well, because we work on an inventory model, we can have procurement of stamp papers from like thousands to hundreds of thousands of papers, depending on your requirements. Right. There is again no third party intermediary involved. There is no API call involved to a server, which may crash when too many requests are generated. Those things, just by nature of the design of the system, are not relevant. And therefore you will not have any problems in scalability. You won't have any problems in reliability, right? And we'll look at this in terms of live implementations, which we'll talk about in the next slide.
So
But as
yeah,
far as
yeah.
scalability, yeah. So
Siddhant,
as far
thanks
as
for that. Maybe if you can close the loop on it, how will it change any API integrations if someone already has API integration with Legality?
right. Right. So if somebody has an API integration with Legality, you don't need to really change anything, right? There is just a new parameter for stamp groups and the stamp value. So you just need to build that in. So nothing really changes. It's just like two additional parameters that have to be introduced. And once you can, even while designing a workflow, you can select which stamp groups you want to use in a particular journey, in which case there is only one parameter that's left, which is the stamp amount, right? So whether it's 200 rupees, 250 rupees, 300 rupees, whatever it is from journey to journey, that's just an additional parameter in your API. So to migrate from, or rather to start using dynamic stamping, you don't really have to consume a new API, and you don't have to invest your technical resources in integrating with any fresh API.
Sure, Sid. And one more question on the scalability point. I remember in your demo, you had mentioned that you can go to a very minute granularity with the stamp papers you use, right? I think one apprehension that we faced often in conversations, but which has borne out differently in reality, is that will this result in a massive analysis exercise each time someone needs to order stamp paper? Or, I mean, how does it get resolved? Because from a layman's perspective, it seems like it could be a complex process. Can you tell us whether this actually bears out in reality?
Right. So, in fact, Aditya, the way the system is designed, you don't really have to try and predict how individual journeys will work out. A lot of companies have existing information on how many stamp papers are used on an average, right? So you can maintain a reasonable inventory, which is neither too low nor too high. We allow companies to procure stamp papers as many times as they want, and procurement timelines usually range from 7 to 10 working days. So if you see your inventory going down, you can always top up as well. So there is no need to create a extremely sophisticated analysis of what your usage is going to be. Stamp papers can also stay in your inventory for a long time, for months on end. So again, you can have a reasonable degree of flexibility built in, right? The other thing is that for journeys that are not completed, for journeys where signatures are not applied at all, stamp papers do not get wasted. So there is a lot of optimization and efficiency that's built in, so that your inventory management is quite robust. So I don't see this as a challenge. In fact, it's actually an advantage that it allows you a greater degree of flexibility that you would ordinarily not have.
Right, right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, companies are anyway doing this analysis for physical stamping, and for digital stamping, all that matters is really just procuring it with a few clicks through Legality, and I mean the rest of it is taken care of by the algorithm.
That's right. That's right. So companies may be doing it in the physical world, at least the smart ones. But even those who are not able to, because maintaining an inventory of physical stamp papers is not easy, right? Because you'd have stamp papers in different states. So different offices would have different parts of the inventory. So you require a great degree of coordination to, maintain an inventory. But that's where digitization helps you, right? Because now you have a single screen where all your stamp papers are visible across the country. So even those who are not doing that exercise can now do that very easily.
Fair enough, Sid. But ultimately, scalability and reliability are mainly secondary to legality. So can you tell us how legal is this and why it's legal?
Yeah, so I mean, Legality has been a part of. Legality is our name itself,
Single E.
and that is a core focus of ours. legality is not really something that we had to worry about while coming up with dynamic stamping, because conceptually it's the same as our series based stamping. Our legacy stamping system was there, and that was fully legal to begin with, right? So as such, nothing changes. If you are using our legacy stamping systems, they were 100% legal. That's again something that's there. It's basic. It's to be expected. And as we spoke about in the demo, stamp serial numbers are appearing on all pages of the document. There is a legend that's printed in accordance with legal conventions. We have a document ID which appears on each page of the document as well as on the stamp paper. The paper itself can be digitally signed. And of course there is an audit trail for all of that, right? So as far as legal requirements are concerned, I think we clients should be well squared off. Again, we do advise clients to get these things vetted by their own legal teams, and that's what all our clients do. And several legal teams of multinational companies, banks, NBFCs have vetted this process. So this is something that is quite basic. It's expected, and it's the same as our legacy system. It's completely legal.
When you put it that way, a very interesting thought occurred to me as someone from a former legal background, as a former litigator. But I think even for your corporate law side, I think lawyers across the country for many decades now have been kind of doing what we do in terms of handwriting a legend or stamp paper and putting it on agreements. And really, our legality system seems to just be scaling that up for industrial use. It's
Correct.
actually the same system that actually lawyers have been doing for decades.
Yeah, exactly. Now the process becomes automated, it becomes digitized, and otherwise, as such, it's exactly the same process. You write the same legend that you would which you would have written with your hand, and you're still signing it. It's just that you're signing it digitally. As such, the process remains the same. It's just automated and digital.
So Sid, can you, I mean, I think next thing you wanted to speak about was generally how, I mean, it's just been, I think, what, 2-3 weeks since this feature went live.
Yeah.
So can you just,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. Now, in just a couple of weeks, certain clients have managed to scale up the process. So we have a large multinational NBFC which enters into loan documentation for equipment financing, and so there is a security document, there's a loan document, and in the states that this business is done, there is ad valorem stamp duty that's applicable on the documentation, and therefore there was a specific demand for dynamic stamping, which is where this feature has turned out to be very useful for them. So they managed to roll this out already, where they already had inventory of stamp paper, which all our clients do, whoever uses stamping in legality. So they were really easily able to create relevant stamp groups for their journeys, and seamlessly have transition to using our dynamic stamping capabilities for ad valorem workflows as well, where ad valorem stamp duty is applicable, right? So this is actually a very typical use case where there is a loan agreement, there is a hypothecation agreement, and the documentation is subject to ad valorem stamping. So across the board, this is just one example. You similarly placed NBFCs could also use it. The other instance is that of one of the largest microfinance institutions, one of the largest microfinance lenders in the country, and they also have an asset-based lending portfolio where their customers are taking loans for buying two-wheelers, or for financing the purchase of agricultural equipment and stuff like that. And again, there is ad valorem stamp duty applicable on the documentation. So they've been able to leverage their existing inventory of stamp series and seamlessly transition to using dynamic stamping just by creating a group, right? And this has been possible just in a couple of weeks because of the low turnaround time. So you can procure stamp papers within 7 to 10 working days, and as we saw, creation of a stamp group is a matter of minutes, right? So you can very easily start using this feature, whether you become customer for a long time, or you're just onboarding with Legality?
And really, I mean, there are many use cases for it. This is just an illustrative list of use cases we've received from our clients. But really, any document which you need stamp duty for can be taken care of by either dynamic stamping or the Legality flat rate process. So you know that a full pie chart I showed you earlier. Now with dynamic stamping, really, any document you want to digitize, as long as it's not, say, a demand promissory note or something in Schedule 1 of the IT Act, which is a set of 4 or 5 exceptions. Apart from that, any agreement you need to pay stamp duty for, you can do it through dynamic stamping.
That's right.
So we'll end the webinar here. I think we made good time. So the next question actually to the audience is, if you want to really experience dynamic stamping for yourself, and if you want to experience it with Legality's assistance, feel free to do so. So if you're already an existing customer, or you already have a sandbox testing account, which we give you before the stage of evaluation, simply contact your Legality point of contact. They'll help you set up dynamic stamping in your production and sandbox accounts. And really what you saw in the webinar today, you can try it out yourself. Second is, if you're not yet a Legality customer and don't have a testing account yet, simply write to us at enquiry@legality.com. We'll give you a free sandbox account where you can try the feature for free, no strings attached.
Aditya, there are also a few questions, I think, again from
Yeah, that's what I was going to come to. So let's now come to questions. So I think there are a few additional questions in Q&A. So what we'll do is we'll answer the questions in Q&A right now verbally. And after that, we will also stay on for a few more minutes. So if anyone wants to ask us a question verbally, simply raise hand in the webinar control panel. Right, Siddhant. So the first question, I think from Ronak again is, will we be routed to the GRAS website in Maharashtra for paying stamp duty for dynamic stamping?
Yeah. So Ronak, the answer to that is no. That the whole idea of using Legality is that you don't need to worry about going to the GRAS website for e-stamping. You don't need to worry about going to a stamp vendor for buying stamp papers. All of that back-end work is done by us. And all you need to do is place an order on our dashboard or email, and we will take care of everything, right? So the payment is made to Legality, and there is no need to make a payment directly through the GRAS website or through a stamp vendor.
Right. The next question said is, if you want the loan agreement to be executed physically and stamp duty digitally, is it possible?
Right. So Ronak, the thing there is that we provide our stamp duty service in conjunction with digital signing, right? So we don't provide a mere stamp duty service. So if you want to use a digital stamping service, then you'll have to sign the document through our platform. If it's a situation where your agreement is already physically executed, that's not a problem. You can always, get another signature on the document digitally, if that's something that is okay with you. But as such, we require we require a document which needs to be stamped through our platform to also be e-signed through our platform.
Right. Next question is, can we please name some financial institution clients using this service? So I think at the beginning of this presentation, I had mentioned some of our clients who use our stamping process. This is just a flavor of some of the clients who use it. We have about 350 to 400 of our clients also using the stamping service. These are just the ones that use it most exhaustively. And a lot of them have started using dynamic stamping. A lot of them may start using dynamic stamping. There are different stages with regard to dynamic stamping specifically. And some of them have, as we mentioned, have already started using dynamic stamping. We'll share this presentation with you after the webinar, so you can also have a look at this at leisure. Right. The next question, can I purchase from Priyam is, can I purchase stamps for two different group companies from a single legality account?
Yeah. So Priyam, that's a very good question. The answer to that is yes, you can. When you're purchasing stamp papers, you can decide what the name of the first party and the second party will be for that stamp paper. So you can have a particular stamp series with a particular name. So you can have different names there as well. The only thing is you need to be then mindful of which stamp series pertains to which group company, and accordingly use that stamp series carefully, right? That's the only thing to bear in mind, but as such there's no restriction in buying stamp papers for different group companies from a single legality account.
I think, Sid, this would be a good opportunity to plug in. I know it's not the exact thing you mentioned, but it'd be a good opportunity to plug in the other exciting thing that you personally are working on. I think at rolling out in the next, I don't know when, but the
Yeah.
multi-department feature where procurement can be centralized, even though they would have to be maintained in separate dashboards.
Yeah.
Uh, there will be a common visibility on procurement.
Right. No, exactly, Aditya, and that's a very good point. Very soon, you'll be able to have different windows for viewing all your inventory, not just stamp inventory, but even your document inventory and your wallets for different group entities within a single account. So very soon you'll have a completely different window. So it'll be easier to segregate stamp papers for different group companies that you've procured. So that will make this objective even easier to achieve. Yeah, I mean, and that's something to look forward to, and hopefully something that we'll be able to launch in the coming month or two.
Right. And I think the final question from Vishwam, which I think we had addressed earlier on in the webinar, do we have a function which tells you how much stamp duty is payable? So Vishwam, the short answer is no. The long answer is there are a lot of nuances in stamp duty payment. And so different legal teams of different companies often have different interpretations of what stamp duty is applicable on a same transaction. So that's why we really stay out of it. We let your legal teams and your lawyers actually do that calculation. And once you have that calculation in mind, you can use legality from an operational perspective to actually pay that stamp duty digitally. So I think, yep, we've reached the end of the question list. But if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to ask now. You can always email us later at inquiry@legality.com if you have any questions or you want to set up a demo, a personalized demo of this feature. Additionally, if you guys want to ask us any questions verbally right now, please, you can raise your hand in the webinar controls, and happy to, give you speaking access to ask us directly. So I think we'll give it a minute or two. I don't think anyone has any further questions. So Sid, thanks so much for joining. While we wait for 2 minutes to give people an opportunity to ask any questions they may have, I just wanted to pick your brain as to, are there going to be any other feature rollouts in the first quarter of 2021? You don't
Yeah.
answer me internally, so I'm hoping putting you on the spot in front of many people will get you to answer me.
No, absolutely. And there are quite a few exciting things in the pipeline. I think we've seen a lot of traction over the last few months, and a lot of appetite for digitizing contractual paperwork, and that's only going to increase. And to spur that on further, we have new kinds of e-sign technologies that we are going to unveil. So we'll have a PAN-based e-sign very soon for those of us who are who don't have an Aadhaar card, or who's or where there is a there is not a linkage between the Aadhaar number and the mobile number for the purposes of e-sign. So PAN e-sign will bring in a lot more people who don't have Aadhaar cards or who otherwise are not able to use the Aadhaar e-sign. And other than that, we are also rolling out physical signature capture, which will allow you to just use your physical signature which you've applied or which is a part of any ID card, right? So the signature in your PAN card or the signature in your Aadhaar card, you'll automatically able to pick that off using our intelligent algorithms and use that as a part of the signing journey. So those features are all very exciting, and they'll expand the use cases and give more flexibility to our users to digitize their documentation. So these are things that are really up in the pipeline, and we are hoping to roll them out in the next month or two.
Thanks, Sid. That's exciting. I hope we can have you again when those features roll out to again give us a helpful demo.
Certainly.
All right. So thanks everyone for attending. Again, just a reminder, if you want to ask us any questions, write to us at enquiry, ENQUIRY @legality.com. And happy to answer any other questions you have about the legality of it, about how to use it, whether you want a custom personal demo for yourselves, absolutely anything. Thanks, everyone. I think we'll close the meeting now.
Thanks, everyone.